What's up, David here with another podcast on Harrison's Film Review. Today we'll be reviewing 2 films. The first one, he won 2 awards on. The second one, he won no awards on because we did it for class. I'm here with Harrison, 2-time award-winning film artist.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So today we'll be reviewing 2 of our very first films. The first one we're going to review is my award-winning film. The second one is going to be our
very cringy
project.
Dark Knight interrogation scene where me and Harrison basically did all the work while our friend had 2 lines and sat out and did nothing.
What can I say?
It's just a voiceover, guys.
So let me just try to explain this opening shot here.
Oh, you were trying to make it look like we went into your brain like in those movies.
No, actually I wasn't.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been cool. I have a bad habit of working against my limitations, and the problem with that is the amount of camera gear and experience that I have, certain shots aren't possible, so I need to stick within my limitations. I was hoping to get a super stable shot of just like pushing in and then turning towards me and then sort of just floating above me, and I close my eyes like I'm just like dozing off.
Couldn't you have done a speech bubble thingy? Wouldn't that be also cool?
I mean, it wasn't the style I was going for. It's a very harsh, gritty drama film. As you can see, like, one side of my face is well lit, the other side's all dark in shadows. Check out the shadows. There's a lot of noise there from like super high ISOs. I was shooting literally with a room lamp.
This is cringy. What type of bread is that? Why is it so burnt? And how is it so solid? Is that a root beer or a beer?
That was actual beer.
Wait, you drank actual beer?
Oh, I did? Okay. Let me explain some things about my film. Okay. Yo! What I did was I picked up the beer, tossed it to my dad, he sips it, and then he hands it back to me. I slam it down, half empty now, with just cutting out the base of it. It's pretty convincing that like he's so out of his skull.
Bored. Drinks beer.
Just a random shot of me flopping on the couch. So, the thing with all these voiceovers is they're supposed to describe things to the audience about my mindset. One thing I remember from 2020 was that it was really, really boring, and yet there was a lot of chaos that was just happening everywhere, and it sort of desensitized my mind to it. So yeah, the voiceovers are kind of cheap and cringy. I should have done a better job with them. I eventually did re-edit my film for the final release to film festivals. My voice did sort of taper off at the end because I was trying not to like have an awkward teenage voice crack or like gravelly voice like Batman.
Diesel.
Yeah. Where are they?
Oh god.
The music doesn't have a good fade in or fade out in the original cut because I didn't actually know how to do that, but I quickly learned, and for the final release of my film, I did re-edit the audio so that the music fades in, fades out a little better.
This links back to our interrogation scene film. That was the phase you were in when we did our film.
When I'm describing the psychotic phase, I was describing the phase when I was getting into like the Joker mindset.
But you can tell this is from this year just by the snow.
That shot right there, I was really proud of that shot because
I got a knife.
Yeah. I planned out the pacing and the lighting of that really well. I only used available room lights there, and I think it turned out really well because it was supposed to be handheld, but there wasn't supposed to be like a lot of micro jitters, sort of bobs up and down in the frame, giving it a very kinetic feel as if we're actually watching me move through the scene. And I wanted at the end sort of just to be me as a silhouette flicking that knife out. I feel like I could have had a light shining off the knife to give it a bit of a glint and reflection, but other than that, it turned out basically the way I wanted it. Now, yes, it's a little noisy and grainy from the high ISOs. You know what? Let's chalk that up to my creative decision to give it a grittier look. And so this shot right here, yes, I'm driving a car. And no, my dad's not in it because he doesn't
even have his learners for the record.
Yes, that shot is 100% illegal. I recommend absolutely nobody do that. Everyone's going to do it anyways, but I'm just saying, like, if you guys get hurt and you want to blame somebody, don't blame me because you can just come back to this video and say, I take no responsibility for your actions. This shot is actually me cutting my face open.
Yeah, he actually cut himself.
And this is just a shot
of that the smacking scene?
Yeah.
I love that scene. It's like the best scene.
Watch my dad's computer.
Yeah.
And there's just scenes of me dancing in the dark.
My teacher recognized me dancing from what movie that was from. The Joker movie.
Yeah, so I had the silhouetted scene where I was only being backlit by a light so that I become a silhouette, and I really liked that look. Unfortunately, the one where I was dancing down the stairs, I really wish I had better lighting for that, but I just didn't have the resources available to do that. I should really stop making excuses and just up my cinematography game. I wish I kind of ended my dancing scene right as the music ended.
Should have thrown the knife at the camera.
Irresponsible.
This was in Toronto.
Yeah, this is a shot in Toronto, these nighttime driving shots. And if they look a little moody, I mean, like, they have a very stylistic character to them. And it's not because I was using vintage lenses or anything. It was literally shot on my dad's Samsung Galaxy S8. A lot of this monologue or voiceover is, like, really personal, so if you don't understand it, I completely get it. I was kind of running out of things to say. This shot, that's just me scrolling through my phone, Yes, my phone's out of focus, my shoulder is. The idea is to convey the idea that, you know, what I'm looking through on YouTube isn't important, and actually I cheated this shot. I would have needed 2 people to shoot this scene. How I cheated this one is basically I just like took a random piece of something and I draped a black shirt over it. It looked like my shoulder, and I just held my arm out and scrolled through my phone. That way I was able to reveal the camera monitor at the same time. I don't have an external monitor, guys.
Really get one. Don't you have like $1,000 from your books or something? Buy his book. He'll
Buy
link it in
Ninja
the
Mice of Wall
description.
Street. It's good. Ages 8 up. The second shot right here, I cheated again. I couldn't actually put the tripod on my bed, so what I did was I went out to the hallway, because if I lay down on my bed with the tripod on it would just shake so bad. So I just shot this in a hallway and used some white blankets to make it look like my bed. I love the music drop right as I did that jump there. This shot right here of the titles, this is a preview of my upcoming short film, The Audition.
We're gonna do that this summer along with DPI. You better watch DPI.
DPI coming soon, September 2021.
Maybe even August.
It's just like a really boring shot, and it's static, so it's not moving. And I'm really small in the frame, just show my insignificance and how much I don't matter at this point. This scene I shot at night in slow motion, creating a lot of grain in my image. I know it's kind of like ugly and the lighting's kind of flat, but hey, at least I separate from the
And you have
background
pimples.
well. I was literally using like a razor sharp light, and I couldn't diffuse it because I was low on battery, so if I diffuse it, there wouldn't be enough light. So I just had to shoot with it. This is the thumbnail of the film, actually. This is where the stress of like online school gets to me really hard, and actually this did happen in real life. I was just so overworked and demotivated from online school. There was a time where I just picked up a piece of paper and yelled, "Fuck!" and like yeeted it aside. It is for the film. It represents the emotion exactly the way I intended to. This shot of me doing push-ups, oh my god. I'm not really doing the push-ups really
Yeah, you're doing like
well.
half.
I'm like doing half push-ups. This shot I really liked. It's just a creative shot. This shot I got using a tripod, and I had like a point and shoot camera, a really cheap one, attached to it, and I just held it in front of my feet. Just blackout period right here. This film is very long and slow, just to give you that, you know, sense of how long and slow 2020 really was. So this shot right here, I actually operate the camera myself and the lights. So if you see a little effect where my face stays the same size in the frame, but the background seems to be moving, that's a dolly zoom. I took a skateboard, I put it on the table, and I pulled the camera in towards me. In post, I digitally zoomed out at the same time, which widens up the background while keeping my face the same size in frame. It's called a dolly zoom or a zolly. One thing I really hate about that last little bit there is I was going to say enter the dull fade. For some reason the audio cut right as I was saying dull, ended up with dull fade. This last little bit of the film was actually shot entirely in slow motion on a point and shoot camera. This is a good example of me working with my limitations, because most point and shoot cameras don't have the ability to record 24 frames per second, which is usually regarded as the most cinematic frame rate, and can only record in 30 frames per second. So what I did was I simply took those 30 frames per second, I played it back at 80% speed, giving me slow motion, and still achieving 24 frames per second. Don't point that stick at my face. It's a, oh, that really hurt. That hurt.
Yeah, it stings a bit.
One thing I am super proud of this last little bit of the film is, I actually shot this in September of 2020 as its own standalone short film called Back to School. The music starts right as my foot steps down. This shot of random things on the kitchen counter, it was supposed to show how cluttered the area was, but all you're getting is like, wow, it's cluttered, not like he hasn't cleaned up in an hour or so, or like or a week or a month. Look over to the camera as if it's like another character, but really I'm looking for hope. A lot of the film isn't actually chronologically makes sense. It's supposed to be slow motion, really
when you get your
dramatic.
trophy.
This shot right here where I'm being backlit, now you might say, oh, that camera has terrible dynamic range. Why would you ever use a camera like that? Well, because it's all I had, and second of all, what I really wanted is for me to be a silhouette. I didn't want you to see my face. It's supposed to tell you, like, I'm going to war, basically. Going to school. This is our very first movie scene. So we did this film with Justice, our old classmate from CI. This is before I started wanting to become a filmmaker. All I knew about filmmaking was that my dad had a really nice camera. I knew nothing about lighting or anything. I was just like, hey dad, shoot this film for me. It was all shot on tripod. We used the internal camera microphone. We were in a really noisy library, so there's like so much background noise. The only thing that was really there was a production design, because unlike a lot of our classmates, we went to a library to shoot this. I got a costume for it, David got a costume, Justice got a costume. I really got into the mentality for this film, so that's why in my short film Repressed, me cutting my face with a knife, I actually did that for a lot of grade 8 to prepare for this. My dad made me speak really loud for this, so I kind of lost the Joker voice. And then my dad's like, it's not loud enough, Harrison. So I was like, I'm a good puppet. Yeah, that shot was just really boring. Honestly, I was hoping my dad would do something with the camera, like shake it down as soon as I got my head slammed. For every single one of those takes, David's like, I'll just shove your head and we add a sound in post. I was like, no, you're gonna smack my head into the table and you're gonna do it right. And you were like, no. Okay. And so we had like take after take of me slamming my head into the table.
Yeah, we almost ran out of film.
Cutting this together was actually a nightmare because my dad was just like, here's the entire memory card full of footage. I didn't delete anything. This is where I learned to like filmmaking because I was like, why does everything look so bad? Why is everything so hard to deal with? I just want to take control of the camera. Oh my god, Dad, why the hell do you keep zooming in? So one rule of filmmaking is don't zoom in. It feels very cheap and camcorder-like. So I actually had the most lines in this, and I consider most of them unusable because of my high-pitched squeaking. The dragging me over the table was kind of lame because I had to help him.
He's in control.
Oh, there's Justice's only other line. We actually wanted to book another room in the library, but...
They said 2 weeks in advance.
And there's just David throwing me under the table. If you guys are having trouble making a stunt realistic, don't just try to throw them and expect them to work. It's actually quite a bit of work in both people. One person has to throw really hard. The other person has to alleviate the weight by jumping a little.
Your friend, the district attorney, are rushing by the meeting.
I rushed through that line so hard. Your friend, the district attorney, who's rushing by...
I hope your phone's cracked.
David wasn't actually punching me in the face. And if we look in the bloopers, there's a part where I was like, punch me, goddammit. You were clearly struggling to lift me up. That was so awful. We should have just cut that shot, but I was like, we have no shot of me getting picked up. Bloopers and outtakes.
Julia's making a choice. Punch me, goddammit.
That's
enjoyed.
it for our film. Thanks, guest star Harrison, for coming in.